New thought equals new life. This is by no means a new idea, but this video is not meant to get a lot of views. It's not meant to be the memoirs of my life. However, if I were to create an app or maybe have a vlog, it might center around this idea of the Areopagus. What? What is the Areopagus? What is the Areopagus? It is a place. It's still a place. It's still there today. It's literally a really big rock in Athens, Greece. Aha! Here you go. Let me see this. The Areopagus, or Mars Hill. Let's get it bigger. I want to see. Aha! It doesn't seem very clear, but the Areopagus, or Mars Hill, is in Athens, Greece, and in the 1st century, there's actually words here. What does it say? Focus. Don't let your mind wander. Keep it in a straight line. I don't think it says anything. Anyhow, it was a gathering place for the ancient Athenians and basically anyone else they could get their hands on. And they would discuss anything new. In fact, it was described that the Athenians were obsessed with discovering and discussing new ideas. So, this was basically the 1st century's version of the internet. Oddly enough, Plato described a cave where shadows would flicker on the wall and obsess people's minds. He foretold of this in the future. Anyways, that's great and all. That's just lovely. But what is this video going to be about? Oh, the Areopagus will discuss new thoughts. If I was to create an app, it would probably be the Areopagus Club. Anyhow, new thoughts equals new life. I used to think different. I used to be different. I would act different because I used to think different. But this is not a place for my memoirs. As any good philosopher would start off with, we will start off with defining terms. And first of all, we must define what is thought. Aha! We've reached perhaps a new idea, the anthology of thought. What is thought? This idea is in a very rudimentary stage, and I ended up going to an artist that I appreciate and enjoy for inspiration. She said she would turn to the classic art works for inspiration, so I turned to some classic writing and was really relieved at how genuine and genuinely base a lot of fundamental classical expression was. And that relieved me because this idea of the anthology of thought, what is thought, is very much in its rudimentary stages. Thought exists in the brain but cannot be static. Here's an idea. Hold on to this idea. Preserve it in my mind. Thought is like life. It has to be moving. It cannot be static. Aha! Here, ooh. It's very interesting to use AI to generate imagery for this delightful video, because AI is, in its, all intended purposes, it's a mimicry of thought. Animals think, I think, haha, but can computers think? AI is intended to produce and generate thought, and it does mimic thoughtful expression, but that's a completely different topic. Here is a delightful image. Isn't it lovely how rudimentary this library looks, and how posh and proper and educated this would seem? A bit pretentious. This video is not pretentious. Focus. Anyhow, thought cannot be static. Oh yes. Continual flow of ideas. Yes. Feel it. Look at the brain pulsating. It is very likely that the living nature of thought, perhaps thought could be even philosophically thought of as life itself, but that will be discussed more philosophically later. Another idea, just to be touched on now and discussed more later, is that thought runs on the electricity of the brain, and electricity can be generated through change. Anyhow, thought cannot be static. The brain takes what it knows and inevitably moves it forward into something new. Like life itself, it must be growing, it must be changing. Even if it's decaying, it's changing, but hopefully, like life, it will be not devolving, but evolving and growing and creating life and something new. But how does this progression take place? It takes place in a pattern, which basically starts with what is known and progresses one step at a time to something new. This can be seen in any discipline that discusses thought at length. As a matter of fact, I was quite remarkable in viewing this notion across disciplines, that many disciplines talk about a pattern, as it were, to thoughts, but nothing that I have found yet provides an anthology of this pattern. One step at a time to something new. Yes, the basic concept, perhaps. What a lovely depiction, and words that don't seem to say anything. Maybe they do. Anyhow, one step at a time to something new. The thoughtful progression of ideas starts with what it knows and then moves, but in a binary fashion, in a yes, no, one step at a time way, and it will dictate the pattern of the branch of the steps to come, one step at a time, based on if the answer is yes or no to this thoughtful binary progression. Now, that was quite a bit, and there needs to be more breaking down in order to go forward with this crazy new idea. But to change a life, I must change a thought, And new thinking progresses one step at a time to something new. But it starts with something old, although the something old cannot be static. It must grow. Now, how this takes place and examples in practical disciplines such as the study of linguistics is a wonderful place to start with, but it touches on anything that could be seen as using or involving thought, and such as mental health or even mythologies and storytelling. All of these exist in the brain and require thought. Anyhow, I'm just going to close this chapter. The end.